Rick Wilson.
Molly Jong-Fast, how are you, my friend?
I want to read you a statistic, okay?
I'm here for your
It's
statistics.
always fun when I come in with things I want to read. Adding to our new data, our estimated turnout for the No Kings Day protest yesterday has risen to 5.5 million with an upper bound of 8.7 million, making it the largest single-day political protest in U.S. history. This excludes the first Earth Day.
I've been to 2 No Kings protests in my little town of Tallahassee, Florida. The first one had about 5,000 people, and this one was much, much, much larger in a town with 300,000 people, which is significant. And it was replicating across the country. And it's interesting because in every single one of these places you saw yesterday, everybody just absolutely, just like they're doing in Portland now and in Chicago, they absolutely refuse to play to the bullshit MAGA narrative. They absolutely refuse. They're like, okay, we're going to have fun. We're going to bring American flags. We're going to be cheerful and singing and happy. And then we're not going to let them play the game of the communists are trying to take over with their pro-Hamas, blah, blah, blah. They just wouldn't do it. It struck me yesterday when I was walking through all these people. This was a younger crowd than the first No Kings rally. A lot more young people.
That's actually really important.
Yeah, and it struck me that the edginess and the humor of this one was much more front and center than the first one. In the first one, people seemed very scared. This one, there was also like an edge of like, haha, fuck you. Like I was walking up and I see, the de rigueur inflatable frogs, and I saw Baby Shark, and it turned out a friend of mine who I had no clue about her politics was in Baby Shark. And
oh, really?
I had no clue about her politics at all. And I was like, wait, what? Is that you? What? I think it was a bad day for them. And they had to resort to Donald Trump posting really crap AI slop memes of him pooping on people.
Yesterday was a high stakes day. If
yeah.
there had been no turnouts, we would have been in a lot of trouble, right? If there hadn't been millions of people, it would have meant talk us through that.
I think if yesterday had been a flop, if yesterday had been a wheeze, we would have the MAGA media and MAGA influencer space would be absolutely running rings around everybody today, jumping up in victory, saying Donald Trump is the most beloved president ever. But instead, you have Breitbart leading with a story about Trump posting the poop video. And you have Fox talking about, the Democrats shut down all day today. So I think it's telling that they did not get what the Republicans did not get what they were hoping for out of this weekend, which was violence, anti-American images, arrests, etc. From my understanding, the only arrest, and I was actually looking in this rabbit hole earlier, the only arrest I could find was of a MAGA guy who showed up at a rally. I think it was in Buffalo. Don't quote me on that. With a gun, but he was a MAGA guy because he'd been told that Hamas was there.
Yeah, well, because the White House press secretary said that all Democrats were Hamas.
Yeah, they're Hamas, pro-terrorist,
radical, violent,
radical leftist, the usual jibber jabber out of her pie hole. So, Molly, I gotta say this. I think Carolyn Levitt, it is one thing for me to make a your mom joke on Twitter, but at some point, even the MAGAs are like, is the White House reduced to being like a D-grade trolling shop? And
that's what J.D. Vance is.
Oh, God, yeah. The reason J.D. Vance came out to defend the Young Nazi Youth League, e.g. the YRs this weekend.
So basically, the Young Republican chat, this was a big piece in Politico.
Oh, yeah.
They said things like, I love Hitler.
Can't wait to put so-and-so in the gas chamber.
Right.
All that.
And I think one of the things that I'm struck by with J.D. Vance is he will defend any bad behavior on the right.
It's because he's running for president in 2028, and he follows the Steve Bannon rule. There are no enemies to my right flank. So he is willing to defend Nazis, Molly. I got to tell you, the Republican Party I was a part of for a long time had many, 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 many flaws. But any person in the party who was like, I love Hitler, brown people are monkeys, all that crap, they would have been fired. They would have been cast out. These people, and by the way, folks, for those of you listening, if you think that's the only racist group chat among the YRs, I have a bridge to sell you.
Yeah.
This is what they are now. The screeching out, don't call us Nazis. All right, well, stop saying Nazi shit and believing Nazi things and thinking about Nazi outcomes for your political enemies.
So you have this No Kings Day, you have millions of people. Then
Yep.
you have this poor polling. You have Trump not polling well in all sorts of underwater on the economy, immigration, this, that, that, that. Does Trump not see these polls? Do people not show them to him?
Tony Fabrizio, who has been his pollster now for a long time, Tony the pollster, is not a stupid guy. He's not a stupid guy. He is
And he's
a
also known to be a pretty good pollster.
right. That's what I'm getting to. He is a credible and qualified pollster. He's not generating numbers that are just made up fantasy numbers.
He's not Rasmussen.
Rasmussen, right,
Ra-
who just literally make up like how may we please the king. But I will say this: he's also not going to bring Donald bad news, because that's a quick way in Trump world to get sent out into the ether, to get fired, to get dismissed, to get ignored. They know how bad Trump's numbers are. But like so much of what goes on in Trump world now, the reason Trump says my approval rating is 97% is because they will now go out and say, well, Mr. President, our numbers have some issues here and there, but we found this poll from Red Eagle Palin polling or whatever,
right.
that says you're so popular, and he will seize on the inaccurate bait and ignore the unpalatable truth. So yeah, but his polling has continued to slip, continue to drop, continue to get into worse and worse and worse areas.
Let's talk about what happens now. We have Trump world bombing little ships in the Caribbean,
Illegally.
repatriating survivors because why? Explain to us what's happening here in American international diplomacy. Killing it, right, is the hashtag.
Just well, with the emphasis on the killing part.
With emphasis on the killing.
So what they've done is declared a undeclared war on Venezuela. Now look, folks.
But why?
Because Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. I kid you not. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files.
And that's why I will give you
another. Well, there's another reason they're doing this. There is a philosophical construct among the modern authoritarians where the world Russia should own Europe, China should own Asia, and America should own America North and South. And that is sort of the tripartite vision of the world that a lot of these MAGA populists really love. Maduro is sitting on a gigantic amount of oil and natural gas off the coast of Venezuela. It is essentially Saudi Arabia with jungles. Now, look, Maduro, there are no Maduro fans or defenders in America. Nobody wakes up and goes, man, that Maduro is a great guy. But what Trump has done is, under the disguise of saying, oh, well, these are drug smuggling boats, which we have never seen evidence of, by the way. This government has never produced a single shred of information or evidence or documents that say that these drug boats are drug boats. Their entire amount of evidence is, trust me, bro. So a lot of them seem to be fishing boats. We are not using the traditional targeting and intelligence process to identify these boats. We are not using standard intelligence vetting processes to identify these boats. And that is why the 4-star general who runs Southern Command, that's the area of operation that Venezuela falls under,
just resigned. Quit. Yeah.
He said, I can't do this. We're not behaving legally or ethically. If you know how to read military code language, he was basically saying, I'm not going to be a part of a goddamn war crime. And that's what we're doing. We're probably shooting up a bunch of fishermen. A lot of these boats are of a design that is not meant to cross almost 1,000 miles of ocean between Venezuela and Florida. They're fishing boats. But Stephen Miller and Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump have decided this is a great distraction. We're going to have a triumph when we depose Maduro and we install a pro-MAGA, pro-Western government in Caracas. I will tell you that, we've
done really well in South America.
My Spanish isn't great, but I don't think we're going to be greeted as liberators.
Speaking of problems in the world and ethical lapses, Donald Trump has freed the political prisoner known as George Santos.
George Santos will soon be named as the viceroy of the newly conquered American colony of Venezuela.
Yeah.
Which we call Miami South.
What are we doing here, man?
Listen, Santos is a great
He's not
MAGA
paying restitution now, by the way, because he decided he didn't want to.
He's commuted. MAGA wants to hear and needs to hear one message. We're immune from consequence. We're immune from accountability. We can commit any crime we want, and Trump will pardon us. get out of jail free. In a lot of ways, and somebody said this to me the other night, and I thought it was really smart. In a lot of ways, George Santos being freed was a message to a lot of these ICE agents on the street.
Oh,
You can
interesting.
commit crimes, he's gonna take care of you. You can commit crimes as long as you stay loyal, he'll take care of you.
Or there's something else.
I don't know what Santos would have on Trump. God knows.
Or somebody's doing someone a favor.
Right, or it's Roger Stone, like, cashing a shit. I don't know. But look, in terms of, like, the least sympathetic figures, and Trump has pardoned 7, I think it's 7 now, ex-Republican members of Congress who all were in jail or going to jail for criming.
Yes.
Not political questions,
No.
not like,
No.
were they supporting Jan 6, like stealing money or taking bribes.
Yes.
And that message is to say to people on Trump's side, we don't play by their rules. We don't have to be accountable. You know, you can cash in, you can abuse your power, do what you want to do, go buck wild. We're here for you.
I feel like the Santos thing bites him in the ass because
Oh yeah.
he's a guy who will not shut up. He's everywhere. You have all of these MAGA Republicans who voted to throw him out of Congress. Now they have to say they were
the New York
kidding.
delegation,
Right.
including a lot of very reliable Trump allies like Mike Lawler and Elise Stefanik were like, no, bro, this ain't it. This ain't the right way.
And Stefanik is running for governor.
Correct.
In her, like, Trump adjacent, but a little Trumpy, but not that Trumpy, but sort of Trumpy.
I call it just the tip Trumpism. But
It's nice. I'm glad you can you can always get the sort of most offensive way to
Molly,
yes. I appreciate
I'm here but to serve.
the lack of gentility. Yes, continue.
Yes, but at least I'm not sending out videos of people pooping on other people like Trump did.
That's right. See?
Do you think his staff is trolling him?
Do you think that's the comp you want? No, I'm just kidding. I want you to get back to Stefanik because I want to talk about the New Jersey governor's race for a minute. So two 2025 races happening in 16 days. One is this Virginia race where Spamberger is probably going to win against Sears.
Winsome Sears.
Winsome Sears
sounds like a cowboy name.
And
but
when she talks, she just sounds like a lunatic.
She sounds like somebody who's wandering the streets talking about how somebody put a chip in her head.
Yeah.
You know?
Winsome Sears.
It's like you hear her talk, you're like, are the voices in the room right with you right now?
I think Spamberger's got that locked up.
Look, I won't say locked up. They had a little speed bump with this AG guy, which the Republicans tried to convert on, but I don't think it's gonna change the outcome.
So the AG sent a text to someone in 2022.
Right.
That was like that was terrible. Basically saying like we should kill a candidate because that's the only way they'll learn. Terrible. Also
indefensible.
Indefensible. And moronic. And also, like, when you read the text, it's worse. Because his way of explaining it is stupid, too. Like, it's all stupid and bad. But they run on different tickets. Like, don't vote for him. Okay.
Yep. Which, and I think Spamberger's navigated that pretty well. But look, in Virginia, I know from our polling in Virginia, that has not really changed the Spamberger equation. Sears is in the classic trap. Trump's not on the ballot. The negative outcomes of Trump is in Virginia from Doge and Project 2025 cuts and everything else are on the ballot. And it's hard for Sears to say, I'm going to bring back a great economic revival to Virginia when Donald Trump has taken 120,000 jobs out of Virginia. So, that is a state where the externalities of Trump are hurting. I think it's also to go back to New Jersey for a second, I think Chitterelli now has to ride with Trump canceling a gigantic infrastructure project that would have directly benefited New Jersey and it was responsible for a lot of high-paying jobs in New Jersey.
Right.
And Trump just killed it because President Russell Vought decided he was going to kill it.
This is one of the interesting things about the shutdown. You talk to reporters who talk to this White House, and they'll say, these guys are thrilled with the shutdown. This is what they'll say. They feel they're winning the shutdown. They feel emboldened. They feel powerful. And I say to these people, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear how they're spinning you. Number
Right.
one. And
Correct.
also, this shutdown is now becoming about Russ Vought canceling programs that were already in, some of them are being
Some
built
of these things are already done or already I mean, the contracts are
or they're
done, they've been
halfway
let.
built.
These
They're
things are being
halfway
built.
built.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And none of it when you get down to it, Molly, has the uplift of like we're cutting corruption, we're cutting fraud,
Because
waste, and
it's not
abuse,
about
because
that.
none of that's about this. Trump is deliberately saying, I'm going out to cut Democratic programs.
Right.
I'm going to cut the things you like. I'm going to bring you pain.
I'm going to use the federal government to punish states that didn't vote for me.
He's now, and especially on now that we're in Mike Johnson's new phase of BSing why the shutdown is here. Oh no, we would come back anytime as long as the Democrats agree to endorse everything we want above and beyond just the budget.
But so you have these pocket
Right.
decisions
He
where
was going to do this
Democrats
anyway.
signed off on a budget
Yeah.
and then the Trump administration rescinded $5 billion in foreign aid because of vibes. And even you have Republicans saying, like, why would they trust?
Right. The Republicans are hearing from their own pollsters. Okay. Not from the
Right.
White House, not from, smoke up your ass Rasmussen polls or Trafalgar polls.
Love
They're hearing from their own
Trafalgar.
pollsters. You're taking the blame. You're the ones who won't come back. You're taking the blame. I don't think that the House candidates have a lot longer to run before the pressure on them politically reaches the point where one or two of them go to Mike Johnson. And if one or two of them go to Mike Johnson, say, boss, you're killing me, it will start a cascade. They understand that America, the broad question across the country, we have now had 10 surveys since the shutdown among likely voters where they blame the Republicans by somewhere between 6 and 18 points. This is bad, bad, bad for the Republicans. And no matter how MAGA they are on paper, no candidate in the end is going to burn himself down over a shutdown that is going to brand them as somebody who was willing to burn their own constituents. Just not going to do it in the end.
You see Trump trying to redistrict, that keeps going.
Yep.
There is a world where they hit themselves in the head with this.
There is a world where the collapses in various national real estate markets, the terrible jobs outlook, the terrible economic picture, the continued damage of the tariffs, the shutdown, they've become the party causing the problem. They become the people causing the problem. And I think that's a bad place for them to be in the fall of the year before a big consequential election where the picture's not going to get any prettier.
Rick Wilson.
Molly Jong-Fast.